Welcome to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone. Welcome to the kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series, race 11 of the schedule out of the 16 races about to be underway as we continue on taking these Gen 6 vehicles around these NASCAR circuits. Tonight, we tackle Kansas for the GEN Satellite and Portable Hauling LLC at Kansas Speedway 262. It's expected to be certainly a fun one tonight. There's going to be 24 drivers currently registered up to race here this evening. And we certainly are excited to see how the drivers are going to ebb and flow here at Kansas. Under the lights, meaning the track's expected to be stable. Will the vehicle be stable is the true question here this evening. And will we continue on the stability of seeing the 7 of Colin Clary continue on his dominance of the mile-and-a-half tracks when he shows up. Every time he's been in a mile-and-a-half, he has won, and he's looking to try to recover and rebound his way into the fight for the championship. We got plenty of other storylines to pick up here this evening, but first we want to say thank you with joining with us again on your Monday evening here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me this evening is Zach Hall, as well as Robert Moyer Jr. running production in the background. But Zach, tonight, coming off of Pocono, where Drew Blaze showed his true speed. Tonight, the question is, can he continue on that momentum, or is it all Cullen here tonight?
It's going to be very interesting to see who has what here tonight. Of course, Sam, at Kansas, the intermediate package has been very much a tale of different stories. I mean, you've had Colin Clary definitely be a dominant force here in the 7 car throughout much of the series at the intermediate tracks, but I think you've seen drivers like Austin Mice really show up here lately at the intermediates and be very, very strong. And also, I mean, you know, Pocono, not really technically intermediate, but Drew Blaze wins last week. He's going to have to start from the back, of course, here tonight after getting the winner EOL. So that's going to be kind of already uphill battle, so to say. But I think that 88 should be very quick and able to move throughout the field here through this 175 laps. So exciting times here as the season continues to get down to the crunch point, as the points even get even closer. So it's really getting down to that point of the season where you got to be very, very clutch.
Yeah, it's just a 3-horse race currently in the point standings, as it is a continuous throughout the season. Who's got the most points is going to take the championship, and currently those top 3 being Austin Mice as well as Drew Blaze and Colin Clary, your top 3. The driver that's 4th in points is Paul Boomershine, and we'll take a closer look at those points in just a second. But tonight here at Kansas, going to be a good one, a 1.5 mile length course, 175 laps, no stage break, no fast repairs. But the big factor of tonight, only 3 extra sets of tires to work with in pit road. If we have a lot of cautions, that could be a factor of when do you want to use your set of tires and when not to. But let's bring up those point standings, see where the drivers line up entering into tonight. Your top 3 all within 14 points, meaning one bad race, one mistake, you finish outside of the top 5, you could be finding yourself with a big swing of loss of points or a big swing into the points lead of Austin Mice, Drew Blaze, Colin Clary. Then a 56 points back, going to be Paul Boomershine. Then we've got Nicholas DeFrancesco. Nicholas going to be also seeing Chris Lannis and Harold Crow, your top 7. Not a lot of big movements going on within our top 8, but Zach, it's all down to our top 3. They've really stepped it up and proven that they are the ones to watch out for the rest of the season.
Definitely so. I mean, between the top 3 there, that's 8 wins, between those 3 drivers. So it's been a very much a, successful season for them. So it has really added up those points. And I think that's what's really propelled them to be so far ahead, of that next grouping from 4th on back. Those wins really help with the points. And I think if you're the likes of Colin Clary there in that 3rd place position with 4 wins, he's going to need to add a few, maybe more to that total if he wants to overtake Drew Blaze and Austin Mice, who right now have been just kind of right there, either win the race themselves or finishing 2nd or 3rd right there with them. So the points have kept very close between these top 3.
And this is the part of the season and the schedule where we feel like Colin can really step it up and take back that points lead that he had for so long in the first half of this season. Let's move on over to taking a look at this schedule, as again 10 races are in the books. Our last week's winner, Drew Blaze, trying to continue on his winning charge, but we've got ourselves tonight at Kansas. Then we have Texas next week in Homestead, the 1.5 mile streak that we have ahead of us. It's going to be the last 1.5 mile races of the season, but this is really where you could set the tone if you're Colin, of taking the lead here tonight and then expanding it so much that a night may be out of reach for Austin and Drew Blaze moving forward. But that's if the 7 performs like we're expecting here for the next 3 races.
That's for sure. The intermediates have definitely fared well for him, but I mean, anything can happen. We've seen some of the intermediate tracks he's got caught up in stuff too. So it is very easy with this package, with the way you draft in these cars, to get caught up in someone else's mess. But we'll have to see where everybody lines up, of course, when the grid comes out here later after the practice ends, to see where these drivers will be. So it's going to be very important to stay clean, but these next 3 races could be a kind of a telltale sign. But don't forget about those last 3, because those 3, I think anything can happen. Just because you can go through these next 3 and get really good finishes, if you can go to Bristol, Nashville, and Daytona and have terrible finishes, those points can quickly be over succumbed.
And what makes also some of these races interesting to keep your eye on, Texas, full length, 267 laps in distance course we're going to have, and then Daytona as well, 200 laps of a full length race. Those are going to be our final 2 full length races of the season. We're so excited to see how these drivers are going to charge their way forward. We've got a minute left in our warm-ups before we get to race time. 175 laps here this evening. Your top 5 currently. Colin Clary, top of the board with a 29.981 lap time. Just 3 tenths behind is going to be Johnny Bobby Brown with Alan Swan in 3rd. Harold Crow in 4th, and finishing out our top 5, it's Jeffrey Goodpaster, who's also a driver to watch out for. Looking at the stats, Goodpaster has been a very consistent top 5 driver when he shows up to race. So one could be a threat to kind of change things up here this evening. I think the biggest surprises has to be deep in the field. 14th currently in the practice time is our points leader, the 97 of Austin Mice. And then down in 16th is where Drew Blaze, last week's winner, lines up. Zach, I'm curious on your thoughts on that. A slow practice time. Do you feel a little bit nervous for those drivers moving into race here as we're just a few seconds away?
You know, if they were, upwards of like a half a second back, yes. But I mean, Blaze right now only 3 tenths back. Awesome, he's right there, right below 3 tenths off of Colin. And a lot of what, lap times come down to here is how much draft you get around this place, because it is very much high grip and very much important to have that draft. So we'll see in qualifying really what the true, runs here are for, or sorry, no qualifying, but we'll see when we get the race started what the true runs are for drivers. But it's going to definitely be interesting to see how those pace deficits work and where the line goes.
Well, the starting lineup is randomized on where drivers will be starting. A few drivers will be given EOLs due to penalties last week or penalties that have been carried over from previous weeks. And we also are going to be having Drew Blaze sent to the end of the line due to the winner EOL. You win the last week's race, get sent to the end of the line the next one. But given the poll starting up front, it's the 707 of going to be David Collins. Then we're also going to be seeing Colin Clary in the 7 do his outside. A beautiful start for the 7 machine as he's getting ready for a great start here tonight up front. Then back in row number 2, hoping to change up their fates after Pocono being too tricky for them. It's the 9 of Alex Duchesne. We'll start in 3rd. We'll also be seeing newcomer in the last couple of weeks, the 5 of Greg Watchin-Sky in 4th. Drew Blaze, not best practice runs, but the qualifying position was gifted in 5th. We'll see how he recovers after giving the winner EOL to the end of the line after his last week's win. Hayden Watts starts in 6th with Paul Boomershine in 7th. Our points leader going to be starting in 8th place for the 97 of Austin Mice. And then our final in the top 10, going to be Chris Lannis and Harold Crow in the 33.
In the 1 car starting in 11th, it's going to be Jeffrey Goodpaster. In 12th, it's going to be the 89 of Eric Dillingham. In the next row on the inside in the 70, it's going to be Teresa Spicer. In 14th, Jacob D. Booth. 15th is going to go to the 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown with Nicholas Don Francesco starting in 16th alongside. 17th is going to be the 25 of Joseph Augusta. 18th is going to be Kenneth Blackburn with Austin Gruelle starting in 19th. And James Dubose rounding out our top 20.
And the rest of our running order drivers in 21st going to be the 23 of Paul Olson. Ken Couch going to be starting in 22nd position in the 08. Alan Swan, fast in practice, but he's got to climb through the field in 23rd starting position. And then it's Corbin Reich in the 21, going to be given the 24th position. Sent to the end of the line is going to be a few drivers. We already talked about Drew Blaze, but Eric Dillingham will be sent to the end of the line, as well as Kenneth Blackburn. We'll see how well those 2 drivers, addition to the 88, will find their way forward. Tonight's racetrack, Kansas, 1.5 miles in distance, but it has the unique driving style of progressive banking in the corners, ranging from 17 degrees at the very bottom of the track all the way up to 20 degrees at the very top. And Zach, that progressive banking at these 1.5 mile courses is kind of the fun charm of these types of courses. Love to see how this is going to help or hurt some of the drivers here tonight.
You're exactly right. That is going to be a very interesting point to watch all night long to see what line is going to kind of be dominant. I know back in the previous era of this car, it was always so interesting. You would qualify on the bottom here because, you know, just such a lower horsepower. You're trying to take the shortest distance around. You're pretty much almost running wide open when you go around here just because of how high grip level it was. And then after you ran, you know, in race trim about 5 or 6 laps on that bottom, if you didn't get up to that wall within 6 to 7 laps, you were kind of getting stuck on the bottom and getting freight trained backwards. So I'm interested to see if it's going to be kind of that trend, or because of the, you know, the track differences, the track state changes that we've gotten with updates over the years here in iRacing, will it be more on the bottom where we've seen some of the other series lately, Kansas kind of trended back towards the bottom with the grip level. So I'm interested to see if this kind of goes back to the older style where we used to get right up against the wall here with these cars, or do these guys stick it down low? So it's going to be, I think, plenty of options as Kansas always presents to the drivers.
What are going to be the ebbs and flows of this evening? I know for those that are out in chat, if you're able to put in the comments, who are you rooting for? Who's your driver that you're hoping to see find success, or team? I know we've had a lot of people come in throughout this season. We're missing Jordan Maddox, who's a fan favorite. I know we've seen a couple of fan favorites pop up here and there, but I'm curious for tonight, who those that are here right before this race starts, who are you rooting for? We also want to say thank you to DadBod.Studios on TikTok. That's Justin X Johnson's TikTok stream. So many drivers found their way to finding the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series from Justin's TikTok. And you can go see his point of view of doing Lonestar racing action, or if he's just doing official races, go check out DadBod.Studios on TikTok today as he's live right now. Again, I also want to say thank you to our race sponsor, being Ken Satellite Portable Hauling LLC, for being today's sponsor for the Kansas Speedway 262. 24 drivers officially out on track, and they're ready to roar. No stage break, no fast repairs given to these drivers, but 3 extra sets of tires are in pit road waiting. How many pit stops will we need? Is it just 2? Will we need more? Time to find out. The field is stacked up, ready to go, and so are we up in the booth. Hopefully you're ready out there in the audience for some Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. Race 11 is underway into the restart zone. A little bit of jostling further on back, but up front, it's all David Collins and Colin Clary driving their way forward down into turn number 1, and it's already a clean track race into turn 1.
Great start from that front group there as everybody, like you said, kind of spreads out nice and evenly. That's the battle really for that second position on back, is watching this guy goes around the top, and it's going to be the 707 and David Collins stuck on the bottom, who looks to have a black flag here too, so he's going to have a drive-through.
It is a drive-through penalty over the radio saying he is heading into pit road. Going to squeeze a couple of drivers to the outside, and he will miss pit entry for the 707, so it just snowballs his way. Took off too soon at the restart zone and was given an invalid start to the race. That's what the black flag was initially for, and it will just compound into a bigger penalty as now it's an unsafe pit entry. So that is a double hold, and we might be seeing David Collins going 2, maybe even 3 laps down just from the first lap issues. That is a tough way to start, but for other drivers up front, you got Lannis watching Sky battling for second as Clary's pulling away.
They are, man. This is a great start for a lot of these guys. It was unfortunate for the 707, who's going to need some help, but it looks like the 3 here, Alanis, doing everything in his power to try to make this pass here for that second position, but the bottom side just so tough sometimes to make the pass. It's fast to the corners. You see down the straightaways, the 5 had the power, and he was able to go right back around the outside. Now the 92 of Boomershine going to look to do the same here on the 3 machine, but you have more drivers on that bottom able to allow that draft to help them line up.
You also have a little bit of trouble for the 89 of Eric Dillingham, who also had an end of the line penalty to start this race off. Looks to be a disconnection from his wheel, or his screen went black. It's hard to tell. We're going to wait until official reports are given, but major issues for himself. Had to head to pit road, and trouble in the middle of the pack. Drivers going around, and it's Teresa in the 70 going for a spin in turn number 3.
Big wreck down here, man. This was huge, as there's going to be contact from that 70 car, and I believe the 33 Harold Crow are going to come together on the back straightaway. So caution early here on lap number 4 of this race here at Kansas, and it's took 3 cars and turned into two giant hits for really 3 or 4 giant hits we'll see here later. As you see, this is kind of the aftermath of it all, but it all started around that 70 and the 33 car going down the back straightaway.
Yeah, those are the 06 of Johnny Bobby Brown, and you'll see here Crow into Teresa, then collecting the 06 who drifts to the bottom. We saw the aftermath on that first replay, just hard contacts all around, and 4 drivers given required damage flags. Alan Swan, as well as Johnny Bobby Brown, Teresa, and Ken Couch, all forced to head into pit road. Big save for David Collins, but misery on lap number 3 for so many others. You see the 70 trying to stay high as everyone else avoids, and Zach, I mean, just showing early troubles can be so catastrophic here at these mile-and-a-half courses.
They really can. I mean, we've seen there the 30, Ken Watts, the 08, Ken Couch also coming there later, and just huge hits because such high speeds and just such a grouped up style racing too. So it's hard to miss when there's a collision. It's almost like super speedway style racing at these places. So you get these cautions like that have these bigger impacts on the field, and that was definitely a wild wreck here to see this early, and just tough break for all those drivers involved because it was major damage all given all around.
It's now going to force everybody to resettle in. I know for the 7 of Colin, he was feeling good pulling away from the rest of the field. It's going to bring everyone else back and might give a better chance of a better restart here. Again, that early jump kind of jostled a lot of the back half of the field on the initial go and give a lot of drivers a chance also to top off on fuel. A couple of drivers just getting a little bit of a splash and go. Going to be the 9 machine of Duchesne, Gruel, Olson, Reich, Blackburn. Got to get a little bit of a top off and go. No tires expected to be taken here this early on. But Zach, this caution does allow Drew Blaze now to get inside of the top 10, up to 9th already. A big pickup for the 88 machine after having to start to the end of the line.
No doubt. That was a huge gain for that 88 machine. I mean, all the way from the back, and you're ahead of half the field already, and now going to be right into the grouping of everybody. So this really helps out that 88 crew, and we'll see how he can utilize this better track position on this restart to try to get himself maybe up into a top 5 position, and then from there, it's game on.
A couple of drivers still dealing with required damage. Teresa's still in pit road, as well as Alan Swan, but officially out of this race, going to be the first driver of Johnny Bobby Brown. Officially done and out of this thing, as well as it looks like Eric Dillingham. Still no official report on what happened mechanically, but making our assumption based off how that car reacted, might have been a disconnect of some sort, forcing the 89 to have to go to pit road, and still has not shown any sign of leaving pit road. David Collins, 3 laps down after serving all of their penalties that they collected on lap number 1. But the rest of the field ready to get back to racing action. Just 7 laps in the books. About to be starting lap number 8 of 175 here tonight from Kansas Speedway. Ramirez with us. First restart. Here we go as they're about to enter into the restart zone. Your Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series is back underway. Good launch to the drivers on the inside. Caught a lot of the guys on the outside, though, sleeping. As Colin Clary in the 7 is already 4 car lengths ahead of the rest of the field.
Collins shot out like a cannon there, man. That is a great start for him. But look at the 5 now under threat once again from the 3. Also the 97, our points leader, Austin Mice, up top trying to break his way into the top 3 for the first time tonight. He will get into that 3rd position. Now look to possibly the outside to try to drive up in the 2nd. But everybody taking advantage here of that restart.
Picking and choosing. The inside looks to be good through the center of the corner, but everyone trying to bounce to the outside to carry a lot more speed on the straightaway. Just a fanning out motion onto the apron. That's free game, but getting back onto the track is where things can get tricky as Paul Boomershine stays to the outside, sticks even higher as Mice now moves up into 2nd. And the 97 doesn't want to waste any more time, seeing their competition and wants to keep it close as we head into turn number 3.
Definitely wants to try to get right there and let that 7 be known that points leader is not letting him get far out of his sights. But here we go. Battle now on is great. Watching this guy just trying to hold this outside line, but drivers on the bottom are just ganging up, trying to go around. And I'm wondering if this is kind of a A little bit of a tire saving strategy here as the 5 gives up a few spots here early in this run. We'll see how this works out. We saw him be very, very strong at Watkins Glen in his debut, but last week at Pocono was very, very strong also with a top 3 finish.
And last week at Pocono, we saw a lot of tire saving and how impactful it was on the long run. That's really what we saw Drew Blaze elevate his game over the rest of the competition as everyone fans out once again on the front stretch, picking and choosing. Do you stay on the racing surface or go down to the apron? You took that opportunity to go down to the apron, but that is a risk to take as well for the long run. You're going to be using a lot more of that rubber going down there each and every lap as Austin Mice saw an opportunity, ducks down low, and it's side by side for the lead position. Dive bomb for the 97 and take the lead. Austin Mice to the top spot and a lap led for a points leader, a bonus point he'll take there.
Gladly will take that and add that to the bank account there for the point standings. Is now 3 wide here down in the 1. Close
contact,
action as there's
24
contact.
trying to save it, and oh my goodness, Don Francesco, what a save by the 24. Still trying to hold on off the exit of the corner, but the 24 got the slide, got turned around, straightened back down, and went from battling inside of the top 10 to now to 9th. What a charge for himself. And now we go back to the lead position because Chris Lawn is the 3. He's challenging for the lead, but it's 3 wide now as they head down into turn number 1. Who's going to find the opening? Similar situation that just happened to Nicholas, but it's for the lead position as Dillingham back out on the racing surface. But Zach, this is what Kansas can bring. So many different lanes to utilize, and now it's Chris Lawn that's leading this race.
Racing so far here in this first opening 13 laps here at Kansas as these drivers have put on a show here to start 3 wide all over the racetrack. It seemed like from a handful of different drivers, as right now you're seeing Colin Clary, our third place man in points, kind of drop back a little bit here as he's going to have the 92 of Paul Boomershine to the outside. As also here comes the 5 back up into the picture as we ride on board with the 5 of Great Washington Sky.
In Boomershine, you look back to a similar track to Kansas. You call it a sister track in a way, but Chicagoland, Kansas, pretty similar on the ways that they're designed, kind of close on how you want to run their tracks as they're both progressive banking courses. But that was one of Boomershine's best runs was Chicagoland. I'm curious if we'll see the 92 but poke his nose for, because if we see Paul Boomershine win out here tonight in trouble strikes for other top 3, that 92 thrust himself right back into the championship battle.
It really does. So this is a chance and an opportunity, so to say, for these drivers who are right outside that window of the top 3. So let's see what Boomershine can do. And last week, Boomershine had some moments at Pocono, but it was the tire wear that was the ultimate downfall. We always saw the 92 really struggle as that run got farther into the picture. We'll see if tonight has a little bit better, longer run speed here to keep right in contention. But at the moment, doing a great job as he's actually going to get the pass finally completely done and move into 3rd. As you're going to have Colin Clary slotting the 4th there as everybody looks to ride for the time being and just figuring out which line you want to run. You pass somebody on the top and then immediately you go to the bottom, and I think that's mostly a tire saving measure.
Yeah, it looks to be. And we're seeing a lot of what classic iRacing tire models used to be, where you could really get rewarded in the first about 5 to 15 laps of aggressive racing. You can get up front, you can make some big passes, but it's that back half of the run that you are sacrificing so much. And right now we are seeing great rewards from the likes of Chris Lanis, also Boomershine. They've been running the top, and also watch out for whenever Watch and Sky decides to go up there. But Boomershine, Lanis, I'm a little nervous for the both of those drivers as we get into the long run pass for the lead made of what those tire wear is going to be, as the 25 of Augusta in the way, running slow, forcing 4 wide at one moment in time, and somehow they sneak their way through the dangerous, slower machine. Somehow the field gets by.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to come at some point with everybody so stacked up on top of one another. Joseph right now running about 3 seconds, roughly about 2.5 seconds to 3 seconds off the pace, and that is a big closing gap when you have this many cars stacked up. And you've seen right there how good of job everybody did right there to not have any caution or anybody involved in the incident. So great job here getting through there, but definitely got to have to watch out for maybe a few more moments like that tonight as the 25 is looking to try to find some more speed.
That is a nerve-wracking spot for the field if they've got to deal with that again. as the field continues to try to get themselves resettled in after that scary moment. As we tackle on, it's Mice leading the charge, but it's the 7 of Clary. Took the lead early, held on, but once he saw challengers emerging that wanted to take the lead, he let them drive on by, and now we're seeing that long run pace I was going to touch on. The drivers that are setting it up for that second half of this stint, they're going to be rewarded so much on just saving their tires, just patiently waiting for mistakes to happen. And here we go, the 7 to 19, as well as the reemergence of Nicholas DeFrancesco after being spun, losing over 5 positions. The 24, he's back inside of the top 5.
Doing a great job with that save, first off, but doing a great, even better job now to drive himself back, like you said, into the top 5. Let's see what Don Francesco can do. And that 24 has had moments this season where he's had a ton of speed, and intermediates have been some of his best tracks. So I'm telling you, a win is not outside of the realm for this 24. I think this season he very definitely could still pull a win off with some of the speed he's shown at some of these tracks. It's definitely in that realm. But look up front there already, the 7 of Colin Clary. He fell back to like 4th or 5th. He's back fighting for the lead almost with Austin Mice, our points leader.
And Alan Swan now exiting pit road 16 laps down. Now you might be wondering, why are these drivers getting back out on track? There is a bonus point, 2 extra bonus points if you finish the race. So that's why we're seeing drivers not fully giving up on their evening, even with the early lap 1 troubles and lap 3 troubles that emerged for some of these drivers. But the battle for the lead could be the battle for the championship. Colin Clary on the inside, Austin Mice on the outer groove. The 97 and the 7 back in 4th. Who do you got to take this lead position? It's the 7 with a good march for himself, trying to take the pass, but not able to. The momentum goes to Mice on the outside.
That outside is just so mighty, like you said, when it comes to the momentum. That is everything that it has, because not only do you get a great run off the corner, but you're just perfectly set up for a good side draft when you exit these corners, just to pull that 7 back and just dump all that air right onto the spoiler and cause a bunch of drag for that 7 machine. So that's what Austin Mice is doing right there on that top side. You see right there, the 7 almost clears, but the 97 just able to keep the quarter panel, the left front to the quarter panel, and that pulls them all the way directly back alongside them, and they're even as they enter the next corner.
Looking at these drivers right now, I think the early time, like we said, when we first picked up the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series, we're new to a lot of these guys. We really don't know them as well. So this was a learning lesson of these drivers learning this Gen 6 car, as well as us learning the tactics and ways of trends that drivers like to attack these courses. Probably one of my favorite drivers to watch, the 19 of Jacob D. Booth, just on his way that he's willing to attack these corners, go after these positions. Up to 9th now is the 19 machine, up 10 spots from where he was placed in qualifying. And right now, we're seeing Jacob D. Booth trying to find an opening to battle for 2nd place as he almost gets squeezed into the wall.
That was so close there off the exit of 4, and luckily no contact was made, so everybody escapes with no damage. But yeah, Jacob D. Booth really willing to risk it there. But man, he's lost a little speed there in the last 2 corners, and that will allow watching this guy to get back by that 19 machine. It has been a full-on just brawl up here in this top group. Everybody been going at it here in these first 26 laps. It's amazing to say we already got 26 laps on the board because they're still racing like this.
They're racing so aggressively. We got 10 drivers still in this lead pack. The draft just keeping so many drivers still attached to this group. And what's shocking is that some of these drivers were caught up in slides during this run. Others were caught up in our first initial wreck. One of those being the 33 of Harold Crow up to 5th place. He's up battling up front. And then the driver who won last week would start at the end of the line, Drew Blaze. He lingers and waits. And I'm loving this call from the 88. He's not forcing the issue. He took the positions when he could take them early on. And now it's just a waiting game. Keep yourself close because we still have over 100 and a little bit under 150 laps to go here tonight.
I think you're going to go a pretty far distance, especially with the strategy too. So we got a long time, I still think, on these tires for these drivers. So they're going to have to make the most of it. And right there you see Blaze, like you said, he really hasn't forced the issue. And I think that's like you said, been the important thing to do. And right now he's making a pass on Boomershine, going to move himself to the 6th. The next on his sights will be that 33 of Harold Crow. So definitely a great job and just a classic Blue Blaze performance so far from this season. He's just been one of those drivers who kind of just, like you said, Sam, lets it come to him.
Attacking mode is on for Watching Sky in the 5. As Greg has decided, you know what? We've waited, we've seen opportunities. Let's see what these tires look like. Makes a beautiful pass on Mice on the outside. Thought about making a little bit of a crossover move to the inside for the lead position. Doesn't work out. And ultimately has to give the spot back for second. But I think this 5 learning lessons, and that's a big thing throughout a long race. You have 175 laps to learn of figuring out where your advantages are, what are things in tactics you need to finish up and clean up throughout a race. Right now, the 5 showing, okay, we can make a pass there 30 laps into this run. Now, where can we maybe get a little bit extra grip to pass somebody later on in this race, as we're seeing Harold Crow in the 33 working the outside groove.
A lot of drivers trying to find, like you said, that outside groove here. And, oh, Colin a little too high there. Gets up into the wall in the 7 there. Brushes the wall. That's going to allow Austin Mice back alongside. So, definitely got to watch out for getting up too far there into the groove. And it's easy to do that here at Kansas as you push the boundaries of that outside line. Is right now Clary almost cleared by the 97 of Mice, but he's able to fight back alongside here as they cross the start-finish line.
I'm loving how many drivers are attempting that apron to try to gain an advantage, cut down on the distance over this course. But that 7 attempting that extreme outside line, that was a bizarre one. I was shocked when I saw how high he was willing to go through 1 and 2. But like you said, it's so easy to do. You think that you've got the grip, you can maybe push a little bit harder, and then you overstep that boundary so quickly, and you could throw your race away in an instant. But looks like for the 7, he spooked himself so much, he's now put the throttle down to build a little bit of a gap to cool off these tires and maybe resettle himself.
Definitely, I think, woke himself up there with that near disaster up against the wall. This guy said, I got to get back to hitting my marks a little better. So done a really good job these last few corners, and he's started to open up a little bit of a gap, surprisingly, there. As you see Blaze in the background, and the 88 is still lurking on the bottom side there, trying to find his way through. As Watching this guy now has Jacob Booth there right up alongside him almost. So this is very important for these drivers not to let this 7 go out there and just build a gap away from them. Again, they can't, get here and just start racing each other too hard.
Builds up to almost a half a second, and in a blink of an eye, it is ran down to less than 0.2, and about to be thinking about maybe a pass for the lead. As drivers up front get ready, it's about to be chaos. You got 2 slow drivers of Couch as well as Augusta right in front of our leaders that they've got to figure out how to get around here in a quick margin. Will it be on the entry of turn 1? Will it be on the back stretch? Drivers better be careful, because you got slow drivers and a fast pack that they're closing in and bearing down on side by side for the lead, as Collins attempting the outer groove once again, close to the outside wall. And Zach, I mean, the picking and choosing, certainly we're not really seeing drivers that are running the outside over and over again being rewarded as much. It looks like they're heating up those tires too much, but it's that choosing limit of, okay, I'm going to use the outside for this lap and then stay low. It seems to be the best call for those drivers up front.
It really does seem to be that way. So this is going to be interesting to see how they navigate this lap traffic here. As you got, like I said, King Couch there. He's got that major damage. No front end there. You see no speed able to be equated from that car. As they're also cussing up to Joseph Augusta to lap him for the 2nd time here. And we'll see how this all works out as the field catches up to this group. And we can see Awesome Ice kind of got stuck behind King Couch. And it just shows you getting through lap traffic is critical when you're in these bigger packs. And
Couch also gonna be Crow. Contact made. Around goes the 33 off the front bumper that was missing of the 08. More contact made with the 23 slamming in. Oh boy. And that will reset the field and put us in an awkward spot, because I know this field was hoping to maybe go another 20 to 30 more laps on this set of tires. Not going to be the case, as contacts made between the lead lap drivers and lap down ones.
This is an unfortunate scene here to be playing out, as King Couch is just trying to make laps in the damaged vehicle and coming off a 4 there. Really looking back at things, it was just kind of unfortunate, really, because it wasn't like Couch was coming down the track too much. I think really Crow was kind of trying to stay in the middle more of the racetrack, it seems like, and it just kind of their lines came together with the way the angles were. So just a tough break, really. But man, if you're Harold Crow, it's got to be heartbreaking to be involved with a wreck here with the lap car.
Just contact into the outside wall. Luckily, no required damage flag has been given out to the 33, but obviously a lot of heavy damage on the rear end and side. That second contact doesn't help anymore. That is a lot of damage for Paul Olson in that Jordan machine. You don't want any front end damage on these vehicles. And we'll see how long the 23 as well as the 33 will be sitting in pit road. Also gives time for Ken Couch to get a little bit of damage repairs done, as 4 tires in fuel hopping on for majority of the field. I think shockingly, drivers that are still out on track, Zach, it's Jacob D. Booth and Harold Crow not taking the opportunity to head into pit road.
Yeah, interesting decision to, you know, especially Crow, who was involved in the incident there, not to pit. But yeah, I don't know what you would gain here too much from saying. I think if anything, you would want to come down and at least put some fuel in the race car, maybe not change tires. I think that's what you've seen, I believe, Drew Blaze do. He might have put 2, if anything, because his a 10.8 second stop. I'll have to go back and see if they jacked it up. No, I believe his actually was just fuel. So yeah, I think some drivers did take tires, but you know, I kind of like what Blaze did, if anything, you know, save a set of tires here and, you know, get some fuel here early, because there is not that many sets if we get some cautions.
Yeah, I'm looking through. There's a couple of drivers that look like they just took fuel only. Austin Gruel, fuel only for the 94. 3 of Chris Lannis as well, taking fuel only. And like you said, for Drew Blaze, not looking like he took tires, just fuel for himself. And that's going to be a question of how will some of these drivers react. Those that took tires, if this race goes green all the way through, you will be greatly rewarded. But if we see a couple of cautions blossom up throughout this race, that's when we can really see some issues on who's got the better tire strategy to work with. 39 laps in so far of tonight's race here from Kansas Speedway. The Kansas Speedway 262 race number 11 of the schedule is underway. But Zach, I cannot believe it, but we will be having more racing action this week as we've got preseason racing for a brand new Thursday series, kind of reuniting with an old friend of ours of the 802 Racing League, as we will be seeing some next gen cars Thursday night, a little bit earlier than we usually do, about an hour early than our normal broadcast time. But we're excited to be partnering up with new people. We'll talk more about 802 League and more future racing action, leagues that will be picking up in the future, as we're back to Green Flag Racing here from Kansas. A little bit of trouble on the outside. Colin Clary not waiting. Drew Blaze not waiting either. And it's Jacob D. Booth under fire down to turn 1.
Colin Clary took a risk there going to the outside like that, but he did make it happen. No penalties, and he's going to move up to third. But Drew Blaze trying to attack, and oh man, the 24 Don Francesco's coming up the middle right behind him. It was wild there for a moment, 3 wide down the back straightaway.
And the problem was Harold Crow went from the inside groove all the way to the top and just started blocking any position he could. Got swamped by a few others, and ultimately it hurt our points leader of Mice. He had to fall from battling for 4th to now 8th position. And there's Nicholas DeFrancesco to the inside, pressuring his way forward. And we're seeing those with fresh rubber being rewarded with some big moves here, trying to take the top spot. But those that took no fuel, took no tires, just fuel, they're going to be the ones to watch out for, especially in these first 5 laps. Can they stay attached, or are they going to lose ground immediately?
That is the huge question that was in my mind, Sam. How much ground would we see lost, or would we see them be able to hang on? I think you're going to lose ground. I think there's no way with the motor tires. I think it's not going to be that crazy of like a difference, but I do think it's going to be enough to where you're going to lose the draft, and you're going to be in different little pockets and groups of cars that have tires and ones that don't. And I'm already starting to see that kind of form really from the 7th position on back, with Drew Blaze being that first one, and Jacob Booth now falling in the 6th to be in the first one on the old set of tires here.
Yeah, Jacob D. Booth getting close to the outside wall. He had to check up a ton, losing about 2 positions because of that move. And now it's our top 5, fresh rubber pulling away from those that took no tires under this last pit stop. And then you've also got drivers that are injured that are just limping their way around. The 23 of Paul Olson, the 33 of Harold Crow, those caught up in our last incident. They're just limping at this point, hoping for a caution, but not going to be the case. Exiting pit road here is the 25 of Joseph Augusta, who is dealing with a black flag. Looks to be an unsafe way on the restart, forced to head into pit road for a holding penalty, as he will get back out on track, as everyone else up front trying to find their footing. Drivers in the back, though. Here's the driver that was given the pole position, the 707 of David Collins, still 3 laps down. And Zach, the opening that this driver had, not the one you want to have at all to start a race off, but we got to go to the lead because they're 3 wide up there. That's Dan Francesco caught up early slide and now challenging for the lead position with Watch and Sky.
What a move the 24 put on. He was doing wonders on the restart. Now as he's gotten to this front 3, he's trying to go to that lead, but it's the 5. I watch a guy who's been able to defend with the 7. Colin Clary just kind of lurking there. Same with Austin Mice. Both those drivers on the same strategy, and I think focusing on very much racing each other, while this 24 wants to think to get this lead from the 5. While watching this guy saying it's kind of nice to be out here leading. This clean air can work out pretty well.
Hey, it's nice. We saw Colin take the lead early on and then kind of back off as he saw drivers attempting to take the pass, which is a way you can try to save your tires. But watching Sky, he was running the top for majority of that first stint, so he understood different ways to attempt to save tires. And Dan Francesco, this is going to be his first run, as long as he doesn't get spun around and caught sliding for 2 corners. The 24, this is going to be a much better run on his tires, as well as you get a sense to push the limits as much as they can. Curious if we could bring up the weather for tonight. Again, it's nighttime conditions. You're expecting things to stay pretty even throughout a night. We got the air temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp at 72. Wind is on the lower end, but it is gusting up near that 10 to 12 miles per hour at times. But Zach, I mean, when you look at these conditions, especially the battle for the lead, this is optimal for great racing action we're seeing here tonight.
Oh, no doubt. This is great racing weather for sure, for high speeds and lots of grip, and that's what we're seeing right now here. Definitely from Kansas, and a lot of multi-groove, and that's one thing that's excited me. I was kind of concerned coming in tonight, thinking that it would be just a ride against the wall fest here, but everybody's done a great job. The track is widened out, and really they stayed 2 by 2 for 27, 28 laps there for that during that first run. So it is, I think, going to put on a show all the way to the end.
It's expected to just continuously be back and forth racing. And also, what chess game pieces are you willing to put down? Right there, we saw the exit turn number 2, a little bit of a squeeze from Watch and Sky, not allowing Dan Francesco to move up as high as he would have liked. And those little micro holdups really going to elevate the outside run just a little bit more here and there. But those micro movements in defensive plays may not get you the most favor from the driver that's on the inside.
It really is not the biggest favor sometimes, as you see the sparks flying off these cars as they're so low to the ground. Just hitting the racetrack is, again, this top 5 grouping, just showing the new tires might have been the right call for the time being, because they've opened up about a 3.5 second gap back to that 7th place car, Jacob D. Booth, who's the first car on the older set of tires. So it's definitely a difference, and right now we're seeing the gap grow, but the racing we're having up here is definitely awesome to see, though.
A little bit of an update on one of the 2 drivers deciding not to pit under our caution. That Harold Crow, the 33, just went into pit road. Problem, caught speeding on entry for the 33. He's going to have a 40-second hold on top of getting tires, as well as getting any other situations assorted for himself. Our next driver in line we got to watch out for of heading into pit road, going to be the 19 of Jacob D. Booth. Again, did not pit, decided to stay out, got a lap led. That's 1 bonus point at least for the 19 machine, but that will hurt him because he's going to have to pit way sooner than rest of the field. Well, leaders are side by side, catching up to Ken Couch, and once again, the question of can you get by lap traffic safely, as Watch and Sky doesn't want to be side by side exiting at turn number 4. They'll get in line, and a little close there off of turn number 4 as everyone scatters to find their opening to attack into turn number 1.
Colin there thought 3 wide for a moment, just had to lift a little bit into 1, but he'll slide back in here as the 7 wants to try to maybe fight for second, but the 5 is going to close the door here, and this is great racing still going on around, but like you said, you got to be careful when you come to that lap traffic. We've got some cars definitely off the pace from damage and stuff like that, so you got to be always watchful of what's going on in your surroundings, especially when you're racing this hard side by side. As Don Francesco's able to take that lead. Watching Sky though didn't waste no time to go to the inside, and now look at this. Clary going to go to the top side and try to use the momentum here as they come off a 2, and this is going to be interesting timing here with this lap car.
As getting around the 25, Augusta, once again, this 25, I think, needs, with the pace that he's going, slow enough to go to the apron. I think that would be a safe position to be, to get out of the way of our leaders that are racing up front. It just is a hazard trying to get around this 25 at this point. But luckily, everyone gets around it cleanly. But as we were talking about that chaos of a lap car, and Colin takes this lead position on the outside, another championship contender having woes on the other foot. Drew Blaze, connection issues, knocks him out of the server. But before he got knocked out of the server, he ran into the outside wall very hard. Front end damage. He is out of the server currently with packet loss. And the 88 now 3 laps down. And Zach, that's one of the problems you cannot have for a championship run with 6 races left on the docket after tonight.
Oh, that is a heartbreaker for Drew Blaze, man. The call not to take tires there has dropped him back a little farther, like you said, got into the wall, and then the connection issues transpired, and that is unfortunate sometimes just racing for you right there. It's just, you know, you never know what's going to happen sometimes with our internet connections, and looks like something is played wrong there for that 88 team, and they're going to have to need some help, I think, now in these final few races to try to get back in contention. But we won't put it out of reach because, man, the speed he's shown at some of these tracks, he definitely could go out there and go on a run. But it's definitely going to make things a lot tougher, especially when you got the drivers he's battling right here leading the race and in that 4th position along with the 7 and that 97.
I mean, I'm not trying to jinx anything, but I did throw out that scenario for Boomer Shot. He's quick to the 1.5 miles. And if we see trouble for both Drew Blaze, for Colin Clary, as well as Austin Mice, and the 92 wins out, gets maximum points that they could possibly go for, it could throw the 92 back into the mix here of a championship hopeful. And instead of a 3-horse race, it could be a 4-horse race, but top 5 still in line, still on top of one another. And the question of who will take the top spot is going to be the big one to watch out for as we are 58 laps in, everyone in line. And the question is, when will you make the next pit stop? A lot of great racing to be seen, and we don't want to miss a single part of it as we will be going side by side. Commercial break here tonight. Thank you for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Who finds the opening? Who goes for the charge? We will find out as you're watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series here from Kansas. Race 11 underway, but we'll be back for green flag pit stops. And who can stop the 7? We'll find out right after this. Thanks for being with us as we go side by side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and chaos in the side-by-side lap traffic and lead lap drivers making contact. It was the 7 of Colin Clary getting a little bit of a scare from Joseph Augusta. And looking at some of these drivers at this moment, up front, continuing to see our top 5 swapping back and forth, just showing the power of the draft. But still troubles for Drew Blaze. If you're just joining us, Blaze got into the outside wall, heavy damage, then disconnected from the server. It's been a lot of drivers having disconnection issues here this evening throughout this season. It's just been a rough one for a few of these drivers, but entering tonight, first and third in points, now battling first and second on track, as we're starting to see a little bit of lap traffic also billowing up in front of our leaders. Welcome to watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series here tonight on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Running productions, as always, is Robert Moyer Jr. And Zach, this certainly has been a wild one, but the biggest scare has to be on the 7 of Colin Clary, who is going to be breathing a little bit of sigh of relief that he's still racing after that interaction with the lap car.
Yeah, I think he's definitely breathing a big sigh of relief and saying that could have been everything all over in one incident. So we'll have to see again. I mean, yeah, the 25 just having a tough time when it comes to, this grouping is just a couple seconds quicker. And when you see that closing rate, it makes things happen so fast, and it's hard for a group riders to be in multiple cars wide like that and get around that. So it's definitely been a tough situation, but we'll see how this works out. As right now, Austin Ice has done a great job this run here to position himself in front of the 7, and this is what he has to do, Sam, in these final races of the season. He just needs to be right here in the 7's, windshield, just making him work for everything to gain those points on him. Austin Ice has definitely done a great job so far throughout the season. I think he's just gained more and more experience at doing this.
He certainly has. You can just see that confidence level rise each and every week since he's taken the points lead from this 7 machine back at Dover, where we saw Austin Mice get his second victory of the season, as Kenneth Blackburn will stay on the outside. Now going to be catching up will be James Dubose, who will be the next driver to be put a lap down, leaving us with the potential of just 10 drivers on the lead lap in our first 75 laps of this race. Still 100 to go here this evening, which means there is still plenty of strategy to be thrown. And going to the outside over the radio was stated by Mice, trying to tell the lap car to go low. And this is a weird spot to be, because Dubose has to make the decision to stay low, back out of it, and lose all this track time, or let the leaders race on and be in the middle of the mix, and he'll back out. And it's Mice Clary side by side into turn 1, exit turn 2. 97 expected to be in the threat mode, but watch out behind them. That battle for third is also starting to find space to attack the 7.
Yeah, at 7, if he didn't jump up and cover off the top there, he might have had threat of the 24 of Don Francesco, who had a great run, who jumped to the 5s outside, and he had a great run there to jump up. So you got to be watching out for those runs if you're Colin Clary. I know he's trying to go for the lead up here, but that's in that next row behind you. It's always trying to take advantage of your side-by-side racing in this package. And we've seen some great passes being done right now, but look at this from Boomer Shine's point of view. This top 5 still all on top of one another. And they're all, I think, pretty glad they've took those tires at this point, because it's stayed green at this point.
Our top 3 drivers really solidify themselves as the top 3 with their stats, but Paul Boomershine just lingering a little bit behind them. Still no wins for the 92 machine, but 4 top 5s, 6 top 10s out of the 10 races that he's ran. And Boomershine's been a lot quicker at these intermediate courses. A lot of these mile and a halves, he's been showing great speed and pace and trying to carry it on here tonight. But the problem, he's losing touch, and this has been the big struggle for the 92. It's the long run, Zach, and it's showing once again as our top 4 are pulling away.
Yeah, this is tough to see right there. A little bit of really a big time loss there on that last lap. He got really tight, lost a lot of speed, and that has allowed this top 4 to kind of just open up that gap. And your Boomershine right now, you're about a second out of the draft now. You're kind of in no man's land. So right now it's going to be a top 4 breakaway, and we'll see how this works here. Just watching this guy trying to hang on, but it's Don Francesco who's keeping the pressure on the 7, along with the 7 putting the pressure on the 97.
And just continuing on their ways forward. Now these drivers, again, 42 laps on this set of tires and fuel, but not every driver took fuel and tires on this last run. Everyone from about 7th on back just topped off on fuel on that last run. Everyone in our top 6 did take tires. That puts a lot of strain on needing this race to go clean and green if you're in the top 6 currently. Corbin Reich, currently the 21 Red Bull machine, he's been having his ups and downs of battling with drivers, but currently kind of a little bit of no man's land racing with the lap down crew. And this is a pretty good spot to be if you're that 91. You fall even further behind them. Austin Gruel topped off on fuel again, and currently is one of those drivers that took tires on top of what the rest of the field. Gotta say, Zach, certainly is bizarre to look at those that just topped off and how far back they are, because this is where we find the 10th place position runner, the 3 of Chris Lannis.
Yeah, a ton of time lost for sure for a lot of these guys who didn't take tires, so it is definitely showing up for them, and very tough to see how much time they lost because they were right in the mix before that caution came out. So it just shows you how much things can change in a race. And this race also, as you see the grouping coming up here to lap Chris Lannis now, it is just very much a bit about attrition, man. It's only 82 laps in this race. We're not even halfway. As Lannis very loose there on the bottom as this group comes by. Luckily, he's going to save it, and Kerry going to go around the outside as Mice, I think, just backed out of it, knowing that he was kind of worried, I think, that 97 as he took a major caution to that.
A little bit of react to whatever is going around you, and the 3 obviously forcing every driver of that lead 4 to make an abrasive move somewhere at some point for the straightaway through 1 and 2. And luckily all 4 drivers get through cleanly, but the biggest loser of that run, Nicholas DeFrancesco, lost the time, and he's losing touch to the top 3 with all of the jostling. He had to back out early off the exit turn number 2 and losing over 3/10, and it continues to grow as our top 3 just power their way forward.
I don't want to see that grow too much. It's already over a half a second now for Don Francesco, and they're pulling away from him right here as they're side by side. So that's tough to see. Is Mice trying to clear this 5 to try to go on the latch up to the 7, because you don't want to let that 7 get out there too far. But the 5 side drafting on the door panel. This is going to bring them both backwards and just slow them both down.
Slowing them both down, and a little bit of a squeeze because they went through 3 and 4 there. But our top 4 all still within a second of one another. So the draft is still keeping them at bay. We're about to be seeing even more drivers go a lap down. Here's another pack that our leaders have to go through and get by. First one going to be Kenneth Blackburn. Once again, going to be now 3 laps down potentially. Then there's also going to be Teresa to get by. And then 9th place runner of Caden Watts, going to be the 3rd driver in this small pack that Colin Clary got to get past to get by. Otherwise, he's going to be losing touch to our other 3 drivers. And oh no! Colin involved, also gonna be seen, Mice involved, and all billows with lap cars taking out the leaders once again.
The 155 there, contact between him and the 7, and I didn't get a good look at it from the first look, but oh no, I think we have some net code, but also just unfortunate. I think the 155 there just trying to give the wall a lot of room there on entry sometimes. And the 7 just not expecting that they're going to make contact. You see Austin Mice, Don Francesco, Watson Sky, all of them involved in this.
And the one who gets through cleanly is Paul Boomershine. Nowhere near the chaos and able to get through. Required damage for Watson Sky. Required damage for Colin Clare-He. Chris Lannis required damage. Kenneth Blackburn involved with what required damage. And it just blows up in the front 4. All involved in this one. And it's shades of Dover for Colin Clare-He. Net code with the lap down driver. And it's all done.
This night is over. It is destroyed. The right front is ripped off that car. He's just limping the pit road. Watching this guy seem to get through it pretty cleanly. Don Francesco seems to be in an all right state when it comes to his car also. But man, Paul Boomershine, like you said, the big winner in this, and Austin Mees, he took a huge hit. But looking at his car, Sam, it's really, I mean, well, I got a better look. It's pretty bad.
It's
so
bad,
yeah,
but it's with
better
the
than the
loss
7.
of the amount of drivers that were caught up in that wreck in the competition on where they're running. It's actually doable still for that 97, even with that damage. The fact that he doesn't require damage is a big positive, but here we go. Pit stops underway. And on top of that, the drivers that didn't take tires, they can really be rewarded here. The problem, all the drivers who didn't take tires all went a lap down. They're going to have to look for a little bit of help. And Chris Lanis was the next driver that I saw was going to be the one that's able to take tires with getting the wave around. I don't even know who's going to get the wave around at this point, and even if that's going to put a driver back on the lead lap.
This is turning the whole season upside down, folks. I mean, if you're the likes of Colin Clare, you got to be, I mean, just sick to your stomach feeling like there's been multiple times this season that's just slipped away from him in the most worst way possible, and I think that was about as bad as it can get.
I mean, that and Dover are just miserable to look back on. And once again, just what is happening type of moments of it's just maybe a lack of focus. It's hard to tell. I know netcode's been an issue with this car. Just internet in general has been difficult. This has just been a bizarre night of unknowing. And it's Paul Boomershine, 4th in points, needed to see the top 3 have an awful evening. And he has been gifted a chance to close down on this gap. If you're Paul, you got to be thinking, I've got a serious chance to win this because all of my competition behind me has taken some point of damage. Only thing that's been hurt in the 92 is his own self-hurting, and that's tire wear currently.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. He's just, if he could get that figured out pretty well, he's going to be within a shot to win this thing. I think the likes of Don Francesco still going to be very good. The 5, I mean, there's going to be a lot of really good cars here, but this has just opened the door wide open for possibly a brand new winner this season, if anything, and then also some new points opportunities online for some of these drivers because I don't see any time Colin's getting back out there, and we still have, I believe, 18 cars out here circulating the track, actually 20 cars circulating the track, so he could drop as low as 20th here tonight.
Yeah,
that would be a huge loss.
Currently still in pit road is Colin Clare, he himself. Then Kenneth Blackburn still in pit road, damage repairs. And then our bottom 3. So falling back to maybe 19th or 20th. Could be as far as the 7 goes. But up front, the question of who's still around, who's still driving. We only have 9 drivers on the lead lap. And a black flag is given to a majority of them. Missed call on who was supposed to be in which position. And everyone from 6th on back has a black flag. And I don't know if that's going to get cleared or if all drivers have to go into pit road. Paul Boomershine, it will get cleared, luckily. Okay, so all black flags have been cleared. And a pass for the lead. Nicholas DeFrancesco, the 24 involved with that wreck, but he wants to prove he's still got a chance for speed. We've got 4th and 5th in points, trying to get rewarded greatly with this start.
Paul Olsen now up here in the 23. We saw the contact early. He caught in one of those wrecks. He's now up into a top 3 position here, along with Austin Gruelle up into a top 4. Corbin Reich in the 21 here. And also, you're going to see, I think, the likes of the 707 in there going around the top there. He's still 4 laps down to 14th, but trying to do it the old-fashioned way and get some laps back.
I don't know if Paul Boomershine heard what we said of you just got to save tires. This is saving tires to the extreme, running high, letting every single driver drive on by. I don't know if you want to let Nicholas DeFrancesco get that big of a lead, but the 92 is giving everyone the space and might try to tackle all these positions back later on. But he's trying to set a pace where he is not in any danger. Austin Mice going to be back in 7th. But Nicholas DeFrancesco, he is staying up front, trying to lead this run as long as possible. Paul Olsen, Austin Gruelle, and also Jacob D. Booth trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
How this race has changed its turns as Colin Clary officially pulled the car behind the wall. His night is over, like we said. And it is, going to be a night of what ifs and what to come here, because man, this is still wide open for anybody, and we have, only just passed halfway not too long ago.
And also, we know that there's still some looming question marks for some drivers. Teresa has to stay high, squeezing. Going to be the battle for third place. But there is still a chance of more chaos to happen here this evening. Who will emerge up front and leading this thing is the biggest question of them all. But currently going to be your top four trying to pull away from the rest of the field. That's Nicholas DiFrancesco, Paul Olson, Jacob D. Booth, and Austin Gruel. They are in their own zip code pulling away, with Teresa trying to just latch on. Currently 20 laps down is the 70 machine. She is just watching our leaders drive on by. But the drivers further on back where Paul Boomershine is, Zach, I have no idea what's going on with the 92. I didn't think he was involved with the wreck. But this just letting everyone go strategy is concerning to watch, because I think he might have a strategy that just none of us can think of that he's going for right now.
I went back and watched, because I was like, I was kind of questioning the same thing here, Sam. He did not take tires. He only took fuel. His stop was 13.5 seconds, and I was like, man, it's close to a 4-tire stop, but most people were around 14. He did not take tires that last stop.
Okay, well, that is the call that the 92 made. Again, he did take tires under our first pit stop of the day. And that gives a lot more clarity on what's going on with the 92 that continues to fall back. But up front, it's Jacob D. Booth, Nicholas DiFrancesco. They're battling for the lead position. The 19 looks strong on the outside, trying to lead this lap for himself. He already led all the way back at lap number 5 of this race for staying out on track when everyone else pitted. But it's still showing some good runs, is the 19, who continues to power his way, moving forward, looking for an opportunity to strike for the lead position. But Nicholas DiFrancesco got to stay for the 24. If this race stays green to the very end, this puts a big marker on him of he is going to be back into a fight for this championship, very close to Paul Boomershine. Of at least you'll be battling with second and third in points. Everyone still needs that 97 to get knocked out of this race if they still want a chance at this championship, though.
97 is right now, I think, sitting here going, I just need to get the best finish I can here tonight in South, because he's seen everything go wrong for his championship contenders. I mean, Drew Blaze came here 3 points off of him after a win in Pocono last week. Guess what? He gets a connection issue, is out of this race early in the going. He's in 22nd. He's done for the night. Colin Clary, his next rival, leading the race, gets involved in an incident and is taken out, and he's going to finish outside the top 20, or right at the end of the top 20. So it is just one of those nights that survival is going to be the key for points. But if you're Don Francesco, yeah, you're definitely, I think, hoping for something to happen, because if that does happen, the door swings wide open for plenty of possibilities.
25, that's going to be Joseph Augusta, who's able to get out of the way with the slingshot logistics machine. That's probably the cleanest the leaders have gotten by that 25 all night long. And, looking at these drivers up front, the question now is, how do you take this thing to the very end of this race? There's at least one more pit stop still in the cards for the field. When do you want to take that pit stop? And will we even get a green flag pit stop cycle to happen? Because we were just about to get ready for the pit cycle to open up before that caution flag came out of our top 4 involved with that wreck. I mean, Zach, there is a possibility that we never see a green flag pit stop cycle happen throughout the whole entire field.
It is very possible, Sam, for sure. I mean, we've seen most of the time the yellows come up and stop that. Is now look at Jacob D. Booth. He's going for the opportunity to take the lead here in the 19. He wants an opportunity for it. But I think this 24, Don Francesco says, I'm enjoying my time up here. He almost flirts with the wall there on exit, and he's going to keep the lead for this time being this lap. But will the 19 continue to fight back? And here comes the 94, Austin Gruel. He wants a little bit to be in this picture.
As it's going to be seen on the outside, this goes in the 55. Dealing with some heavy damage and just trying to make it to the end of this evening. But Zach, the pressure is on for all these drivers. A chance for a win. And everyone in this pack of our top 4, all winless this season. This has been opened up completely. I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of desperation moves, maybe a little bit too early, but none of these guys have been in this scenario of be up front, make it to the end. We still have over 70 laps to go in this race. Don't make a move now that could cost you later on. But we're seeing that aggression level hit a peak that we have not seen at all this season, of drivers that have never been in this scenario put and forced in this spot where usually they're racing for 8th to 12th. Now it's for a win.
I think that's exactly the great point to bring up here, Sam. That's going to make this last 70 laps of this race really wild, is because these guys have not been in this situation a ton. Don Francesco, he's been a top 3 driver at some points during this season, but he's always had something go wrong near the end of these races that's took him out of the contention. Jacob DeBooth, he's had speed at times, just hasn't been able to get the finishes. And Austin Growell, he's been more of a, kind of right there in the mid-range of drivers. So it is definitely a different scenery for this group. And I think right now the pressure is going to ramp up the more laps that click off, and it's going to continue to, I think, be a thought in all these drivers' head about how to get a win here tonight.
How do you make it to the end? There's still a pit stop. That pit stop could change everything. We've seen drivers a lot that have been forced to go to pit road, get caught speeding, and that's what's caused a lot of these drivers to be 2 to 3, 4 laps down. It's not just the damage that they've accrued throughout some of these wrecks. It's been just mental mistakes getting into pit road that have ultimately thrown away a lot of these drivers' nights. And we're left with just a mere 8 drivers on the lead lap. Next driver is 2 laps down of Chris Lannis that was caught in our wreck, our most recent caution. And it certainly looks like this will be an entertaining one to take you to the very end. As you see, Jacob Booth drifted it out of the corner, brushing the wall in the 19. Just seeing all the daylight in front of him, and almost saw it all go up in smoke in an instant.
We've seen before Jacob DeBooth have those moments where the wall has crept up and just caught him out, and he doesn't need to do that here late in the going here. He's got such an opportunity there. You can see just getting very, very close and flirting with disaster with that wall. You gotta be able to give that little bit of margin of error here if you want to get all the way to the end of this race and have a shot to race for this win. So Booth there almost caught himself with caution.
And it will be the 33 of Harold Crow, heavily damaged, wounded, and trouble arises as caution flies, as the 5 of Watch and Sky and the 33 of Crow get involved with one another on the backstretch.
That they did. And man, watching this guy, I thought his scars seemed all right from that incident, but I think it really wasn't from earlier. His spin off the pace. But you're going to see here these two make contact as Crow's going to be in the inside on that 33 machine down here to turn number 1. And you're going to see the 2 of them fight all the way through the exit of this corner, but this is a common syndrome here. You're going to see this 33 try to slide up and clear him, but he's just not clear there, Sam.
And this has kind of been a thing that even drivers were vocal about Harold Crow, is the fact that he's just been creeping up from the inside all the way up to the outside wall. If there's a driver there, that driver on the outside better get out of the way. Otherwise, they most likely will get caught up in that incident. Required damage flag has been given to the 5 of Watch and Sky. And Crow most likely headed into pit road to get damage repaired for himself, but just fighting for it all, rattling up, and the grip level was there, and it wasn't. Caution flag waves, and another reset. I think, if anything, this puts some of those drivers that have already used 2 sets of tires in a weird spot where you cannot waste your last set now. You have to stay out on old tires. That's what's going to happen to Dan Francesco and Jacob DeBooth. But Boomer Shine, Zach, we questioned on the fact that he didn't take a set on that last caution. Well, he's got one to use now and one to use later, the 92. You have reemerged as the favorite here tonight.
Yeah, he has. It's like you take that opportunity and that chance to save the tires, and you sit there and ride around laps with the old tires, and you're like, man, this might have been the wrong decision. This might have been the wrong decision. And then when that caution finally comes out and pays off for you, you feel so rewarded. And now Boomer Shine, yeah, he's going to get to feel that new tire feel, and it's going to be great for him and a not great sight for the other drivers here.
Not at all. And this also, I think, scares a couple of other drivers. Austin Mice now able to get into pit road, get more damage repair for the 97. So that helps him greatly into the long stint of this race as the field getting ready. Where do you want to place yourself? I mean, I gotta say, Zach, this race has probably been the most chaotic one. I thought Dover was the chaos race of the season. This certainly tops what Dover ever gave us. If you're one of these drivers up front, you know that there's a chance for a win. The only other driver currently that has a win this season that's still fighting on the lead lap is Austin Mice, but he's so damaged, who knows if he'll be a factor. If you were in these drivers' ears, what would you be telling them getting ready for this restart with 65 laps to go?
Well, if I was the driver in the ear of one of the drivers with older tires, I would be telling them, focus on literally just keeping the car clean here, because we've had cautions that have led to no green flag stops. So if we, continue that trend, I don't think we'll get to the end here too green. Just stay out of the wall, keep it together, because you do have a set still in pit road that you can use for later. But if you're Paul Boomershine, go like you've never gone before. Get away from these guys and get out there and then kind of cruise and set in cruise control mode. So this is going to be interesting to see the different agendas, so to say.
How do you set yourself up for success? A little bit of trouble on the outside as Austin Mice was trying to get into the right position. It holds up and hurts a couple of drivers further on back, but up front, old tires will be for the front three. That's Dan Francesco, Booth, Olsen. Boomershine is the one with fresh rubber, but how aggressive does the 92 want to be? Everyone else behind them dealing with damage, dealing with trouble, and it's Boomershine about to take off and go. 92 still going to be lingering back in fourth place, but Zach, once he gets clean air, he will be on rails moving forward, because anyone else with fresh rubber, they are not going to have anything to stop him. He's got to utilize what he has now, but he's really not been able to utilize it just yet.
Not just yet. He's up to third here. We'll see how it works here as the tires begin to build some temperature and some heat in them. But like you said, I think he needs to go out there and use what he can, because if anything, get away from the draft. Do not sit here and just pull these guys around, because at some point the tires will start to slowly even out. So you got to get out here, I think, get the gap that you can, and then from there, don't try to run every single lap pulling away his max of potential. Just get a tenth here, get a tenth there, and slowly it should start to continue to be in your favor. So we'll see how this works out for Boomershine, as he's now fighting for the lead with those fresher tires, and you can see it's allowed him to do this, but how far can he get is going to be the question.
That will be the true question. Paul Boomershine, that last lap, a 30.77. The next closest, a 31.1 by Austin Gruel back in sixth place, who is not close to any of this action. But up front, Boomershine tries to pull away. Dan Francesco trying to keep it as close as he can. And also starting to see a couple of other drivers in the mix. Teresa, it was technically 18th on track. The 70 machine has got so much damage repair. She's in the mix of our lead pack.
I was watching her that last run. She was staying right there with that front grouping. So was putting down great times in the 70 machine. And if she was on the lead lap, she'd be right here in the mix for first top 5 of the season. So this is a great learning experience, if anything, for the 70 team. That is what it's all about sometimes, is just getting out here, putting down the laps and seeing it go through the hoop, so to say, even though if you're not in that position, you're running with the grouping that was right up front. So great job.
And watching our leaders, they're all on the line. I'm watching currently on my side, Austin Mice. He is in the Hornet's nest right now next to Austin Gruel, who's for 5th and 6th position. They're trying to find a way to get by Ken Couch, as well as the 9 of going to be Duchesne. I mean, Zach, I've been watching the 9. He's been blinking in and out, have been dealing with internet issues all throughout this evening, and has been losing time as Gruel almost gets into Mice. Big wiggle for the 94. And this is the Hornet's Nest of madness, where anything could happen, and our points leader is stuck in the thick of it.
He is definitely stuck right in the thick of it, Sam. This is nerve-wracking times if you're that 97 car, and this is where you can win or lose a championship. He's just got to be smart here, put himself in the right spots, and not take too much risk out here. So we'll see how that plays out. But as we check back up front, Boomershine on the new tires, he has not been able to get away. He is just kind of keeping pace. And if anything, Sam, if he's not able to pull away, he needs to just almost be in max save for his tires so he can just keep having that advantage built up over these drivers. Because if he's just out here pushing and pulling them around, it is going to quickly go back into the favor possibly of this 24.
Well, even if you keep the 24 right here and the 19, both of those drivers are going to have to pit before this race is over as well. I think for Boomershot, he's going to be in a weird spot because it was around 65 laps to go. Going to be the window that these drivers are going to stretch their fuel out in. I don't know if you can stretch the fuel out that long, but if you're Boomershine, you got the tires to drive away. Do you have the fuel saving capabilities to stretch it to the very end? That's going to be the key note for me. Other drivers that are backing off, Paul Olsen, Austin Gruel, they've topped off on fuel. They're good. If they decide to just think about fuel saving to the end, I'm curious if maybe that's a mindset shift for some of these drivers that are further on back.
Definitely could be, Sam, for sure, as we'll see how this works out throughout the end of this race because of all the different strategies going on in all the different playbooks. So a lot still to play for everybody, but right now Boomershine, the driver who's done such a good job this season of just being kind of consistently just there, and tonight being consistently there, it could be what propels him to that victory, Sam.
Certainly could be. Could tonight be the night that we crown a first-time winner in the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series in the GEN6 Season 1. So many different storylines, a lot to debrief on, and we'll do all of that when we come back. We're going to take another commercial break here tonight, but you won't miss a thing as we go side by side. Leaders are getting by the 25, but there still is lots of racing action to go. We're excited to take you to the very end. Do you need more pit stops, or can you take it to the end? Questions that will be answered after this as you're watching the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series Race 11 from Kansas here tonight. We'll be back right after this with more Freaky Fast action. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing Series Race 11 from Kansas Speedway. And you're currently watching all the action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall up in the booth. Running productions in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. As currently 137 laps down of 175 here tonight. And it's Paul Boomershine that looks to be in the catbird seat, but for how long? So the competition for the 92 has already made their stops, their final stops of the day, being Nicholas DeFrancesco, who pitted 2 laps ago. But the 92 in an awkward position. Does he stretch the fuel out and try to take it to the end, or will he have to pit before this race is over? Austin Mice also now going to be having to be sent into pit road. And Zach, I mean, that's kind of the question of this race, is when do you pit? Because Boomershine, if you can't make it to the end of this race, you might be opting into pitting sooner than later so you don't give up too much time to the 24.
Yeah, that's the huge question. Is if he can't make it, he needs to make that decisive decision now to, not wait too long. Because if you wait too long, you're gonna let Don Francesco get too far out there, and you're just not gonna be able to run him back down. That's gonna be the issue. But if you feel like you can make it on fuel, you go for it. You have to, in my opinion. It's such so much, I think, faster just to get all the way to the end and make a pit stop here. So I think if you're Boomershine, you got the fuel, you go all the way to the end and try everything you got. But we'll see how it works out. But the thing is, making me a little concerned is Austin Mice did hit pit road with Boomershine that time, and I believe he was getting, of course, damage repairs and also car topped up from fuel. He did just come to pit road and pit. So I wonder, here comes Boomershine this time. So I was wondering if they were a little bit short on fuel still, but we'll see how his advantage is here with the fresher tires now, and we'll see if he's able to run down that 24.
Also looking over Austin Mice's time was the fact that a 97 decided to just take fuel only. There was no tires opted onto the 97, so that will be a decision of needing a caution once this pit cycle concludes, saving that last set of tires for an optimal time to fight later on in this race. But Boomershine into pit road. We'll see how well he can try to recover and get by Nicholas DeFrancesco. Again, the reason why we are saying Boomershine is the favorite here on this running is because he's one of the few drivers that has yet to take any damage here tonight. Everyone else has been caught up in one wreck or another, and it has been a lot of the 92 avoiding the chaos, trying to get around. Curious, we can bring up the race report. And so if you're just joining us right now, we've only had 4 cautions here tonight, but man, have they been big cautions that have thrown away a lot of people's races. But Zach, Nicholas DeFrancesco, he was involved with our previous caution, but the big thing for him, he's had a couple of weird moments. He was caught up sliding that in, bring out a yellow, and the 24 doing everything in his power to have a magical evening, even with all of his moments that have gone wrong.
That's for sure, Sammy. I think there's a lot of opportunity still left for him to see if he can hold back this 92, because he did jump him here in this phase with pitting earlier. Now the 92's going to have much fresher tires, but we'll see how the 24 can fare here, because Boomershine was on much fresher tires the time before. It's a much closer delta this time, so the 24 is going to have a little bit more, I'd say, defense here in his tool bag.
But the fear, the anxiety, we've seen it all throughout tonight. That is lap cars and lead lap drivers getting collected into one another. And every time you're near a lap car, you're hoping that it's just a clean passage and a pass being made. But still out on track, Austin Gruel, Corbin Wright, those 2 drivers yet to hit pit road. And could they find the magic to stretch the fuel? It's a long distance to stretch, but banking on a yellow could help the both of them, because both Austin Gruel and Reich are the only drivers on the lead lap currently.
That they are, and this is setting up to be interesting if they can get to the end. I mean, if they feel like they can, then we'll see how long they can go, or if they can go into the end. This is going to be the real question. And them running Austin Gruel, they're getting passed now by Nicholas DeFrancesco is getting his lap back. That's a whole lap that he'd have to make up, and it's a lot of time to make up. If you can save the fuel, it's worthwhile.
It certainly is. A lot of time hoping to grab all around. As drivers are continuing to race on. Racing for position, underway for 4th place. Already has been passed and made. Paul Olson, as well as Paul Boomershine, going back and forth are the Pauls as for 4th and 5th. As they're trying to close in and get their laps back to make it now 5 drivers on the lead lap. But Zach, I mean, this is certainly a bizarre evening of a lot of unknowns. Our top 3 in points all caught up in some type of wreck here tonight. Big losses, though, of Colin Clairhy in 21st position, officially out of this race. Same for Drew Blaze in 22nd. Johnny Bobby Brown also out of this race. Kenneth Blackburn looks to be done. So that's 4 drivers that will not be getting the 2 bonus points of finishing the race. But a big loss of points for the 7 and the 88. If the 97 somehow can squeak into a top 5 finish, that would enlarge this points gap to a margin that could be almost unreachable if the rest of the season goes like it has been.
That's for sure. I mean, it could put it in a point where he's going to have to have issues, you know, and that's where it gets tough when you're racing people where you even have issues. So we'll see how it all works out, of course, throughout the rest of this race, because really nothing is given right now. We've seen so far tonight anything can happen. A yellow flag can pop up at any point, and that could be a huge swing, so to say, for anything. But we'll see how it all shakes out. As right now, Gruel still out there leading the way. Corbin Reich there in the 2nd spot, about 11.6 seconds back from Gruel, but on the same strategy. You know, pitted 39 laps ago. We'll see, Sam, if they can stretch the fuel out. I mean, it is, I think, a considerable margin amount to do, but I've seen, you know, intermediates where we went upwards of 65 laps, so I wouldn't put it out of the realm.
Absolutely not, and continuing to try to just race on. Corbin Reich, Gruel, and then if we do see those top 2 pit, and they're no longer going to be a factor, it would come down to the battle for 3rd place, where Nicholas DeFrancesco, Paul Boomershine, and Paul Olson, all within a 1.5 seconds of one another, are the 3 that are racing for a potential win, and all 3 going for their first career win in this series this season, as Paul Boomershine really never felt like he was a factor to try to get him into victory lane and win. Paul Olson had major front-end damage, caught up in our first couple of wrecks here this evening. It looks like his tires are starting to fall away and no longer going to be a true factor for position. But in front, the 24, the 92, both have found their ways of being on the podiums. Both of them maybe felt like maybe there was a chance of winning earlier in the season. But could tonight be the magical evening that they finally are emerging in the win column?
Oh, look at the big cover off there on the entry. He said, "You're not going to go straight to my outside yet," but Boomershine says, "You know what? When you go down low, I'm going to open up the gas and I'm going to go right to the quarter panel down the back straightaway." And it's side by side for the lead here is Paul Boomershine, or sorry, not for the lead, but what would possibly be the lead if these other drivers can't make it on fuel. Boomershine trying to be the lead driver of the drivers that came off pit road.
Trying to work on the outside groove. A good run for the 92. Both of these drivers also on the lead lap. So if a caution comes out, they would be in a prime opportunity to still find a way into victory lane. Austin Gruel, Ryan continue to stay out. They're expected to stay out there for another 10 to 15 laps before they get into the unknown zone of can they stretch the fuel out. As Boomershine and DeFrancesco are 26.5 seconds back from our leader. The pass that potentially was for the win, but it just happened right there on our screen. Boomershine looking good as he's trying to pull away, but Zach, now all eyes are going to be on Austin Gruel, Corbin Reich. Can they save the fuel? Because based off the pace, Reich's a second off of what Boomershine is running, which honestly is a pretty quick pace. And Austin Gruel, only about 7/10 off of Boomershine. They're not clutching, they're just letting off and then getting back on the throttle. I mean, this is just, hopefully your pace is slow enough that you've got the fuel, or they're banking on that caution to come out.
That's for sure. And, you know, looking at it right now, I mean, we're on lap 154 here of 175. So when we come around here to complete 155 here, it's going to be 20 to go in this race. If you're Boomershine 25 seconds back, you're only gaining at about an 0.8 of a second rate here on maybe at most a second. When you're able to put together a really good lap and Gruel goes a little bit slower, it's just not enough time there to run this 94 down unless he's going to have to slow the pace down more. So if the 94 can make it on fuel, it will be this 94's chance to get this victory.
We do have another driver with connection issues here this evening, the 707, David Collins, who really had a rough start. Lap 1, started with pole, got a restart, got a starting violation, took off too soon, then got an unsafe pit entry, went immediately 3 laps down, and the 707 disconnecting from the race. He is currently in 13th position. There's a couple of more drivers out there that might be able to steal those positions that are out there on track. Ken Couch, Augusta, and maybe a few others before this race is over. But Austin Gruel continuing on his ways of trying to find his way into victory lane, or is he banking on a caution? Less than 20 to go here tonight. I was watching for a second the battle for third. Boomer Shine took that gap and was starting to pull away. For a moment, Dan Francesco was closing back in on that 92, and Zach, I mean, the back and forth, the Boomer Shine, obviously we've talked about the weakness of the long run. He's got to be concerned that this 24, even though you had an advantage over him, could get caught if we continue to stay green at this pace.
No doubt. Yeah, I think that could definitely possibly be a scenario that plays out, and we'll see how it all works out. But right now, it is pretty much all game when it comes to what is going to play out with these two. I think Don Francesco, if you're Don Francesco, you just got to hang on to this 92 the best you can here and not let him drive too far away. But Boomer Shine, I mean, what a night this could be. If the other two can't make it on fuel and he pulls off this victory, it's going to be a night of jubilation because, man, this is perfect, almost played out perfectly for him for his situation.
I mean, it almost has. It has been a fighting all-around type of a season for Boomer Shine. He's had attempts to get into victory lane. He's had some really good finishes in the past. He finished second at Chicagoland. During that race, I mean, after in the post-race, he said, "This is not my normal position that I find myself in. I am usually further back. I'm battling to try to even get a top 5. And now a chance to get into victory lane." A driver who entered tonight 4th in points. Can the cards line up? Or will it go to Austin Gruel, the 94, who, you know, on the flip side is pretty similar to Boomer Shine. Instead of battling for top 5s, he's battling for top 10s. And yeah, that is where we've seen the 94 try to finish each and every week the best of his abilities. Gruel, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s. Could the magic be there? It's not for Reich. The 21 is heading to pit road.
21 on the pit road, and is this a telltale sign for possibly the 94? Is the fuel just not there and available for these drivers? We will have to see, because right now Gruel, his pace still 31.6s, 31.7s. So he's not really slowed his pace considerably down, and Boomer Shine really only gaining about a half a second at most now, as the gap is about 22 to 21 seconds. So it is going to be needing this 94 to run out of fuel if that 92 wants to see this victory.
Looking for big gains all around. Reich leaving pit road and not even taking tires. The 21 just a splash and go for himself. Everyone else up front looking for a chance of glory. Is it Austin Gruel? Is it Boomer Shine? These are the two drivers with an attempt if this race stays green. Rest of the field, where do you place yourself? As into the wall is Gruel. That is not what you want to do, because maybe the question no longer is about fuel. It could be tires for himself, as the 94 is just scattering around. But Zach, I got some bad news. I'm looking over the 50, looking over the 25, and that is our slowest driver on track throughout all the runs. Augusta only went 55 laps, then ran out of fuel. That is not a good call for Gruel, who is currently on lap 54 of this run.
Oh yeah, that means that just does not add up well, right? So we'll see how Gruel can do. But right now continues on for another time. But this is only going to get tougher and tougher the farther he continues into this run. And with those numbers and 11 laps to go, it is looking more and more likely that Gruel will have to hit pit road. I think he's hoping for Sam and everybody out there who's saying, why is he just not hitting pit road if he knows he's not going to make it? He's looking for that yellow flag.
He needs a caution and needs it now. And looking throughout the field, there aren't a lot of drivers that are super close to one another. There's a couple of pods, but that's lap down drivers battling around other lap down drivers, not for position, as the closest positional battle is actually for second place currently, which is now closed into about a second between Boomershine and Dan Francesco. But I believe that was because of a lap car being passed, and Boomershine now expanding that gap even more. Continue to watch Gruel. Can the 94 stretch the fuel out with 10 laps to go? I know Gruel's got a little bit more. He might be running faster, but a little bit more tactics on how to save fuel over the very inexperienced 25 of Augusta. And that might be the reason why we're seeing a little bit more of a further stretched out fuel run from this 94 team.
Very possible. Yeah, that's the reason why this is stretched out a little bit longer than what we've seen from others. Maybe the fueling wasn't the same there when they came off a pit road from their stint, but we'll see. Gruel very much on the middle of the back straightaway there. He's kind of been like that for majority of laps, so I wouldn't say he's probably coming to pit road this time. Sometimes that's a sign as he disappears.
That's not good.
Oh,
and
okay,
he's back. Okay. with all of the internet issues, there's been about 4 or 5 guys that have blinked out at some point here tonight and then had to reconnect back in. That would have been the worst way for Austin Gruel's evening to end. Luckily, he's back out on track. We continue to watch where he's at this moment. 19 and a half seconds back is Boomershine with 8 laps to go. The 94 continues to ride low, continuing to try to find a way to make it to the end. Another lap he stays out. Another lap of questioning. Has he saved enough fuel? But the trouble is you got some competition trying to get around you. The recovered 707 of going to be saved. David Collin getting back into the mix as he's back out on the outside and seeing the passes being made. But it's Gruel still out there, 7. Now about to make it 6. And Zach, he's low, he's slow, and that's as far as the 94 can go. Boomershine, look up to the ticker board. You're about to be finding yourself becoming the new leader of this race at Kansas and a chance to be in the winner's column. Zach, this has got to be an incredible feeling knowing the leader just pit. Your competition's 2 seconds back, and it's all about staying green from here with 6 laps to go.
What a night it's played out for this 92. He has been maybe not thinking he's the driver to win here tonight, but it's all played out where he has played his cards. He saved that set of tires. It has came back beautifully to help him and just allow him to play the right strategy here late in this race. And with 6 laps to go, coming to 5 to go this time right here by Paul Boomershine, has got to be thinking, is this his night?
Is this the night that I finally can say that I am a winner in the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing series? So many attempts throughout this season of trying to get into victory lane. It's been a lot of good runs for Boomershine, and watching his competition fall away, have some terrible runs. This could put Boomershine right back into the fight for a 2nd and 3rd place points position. With the fact that Mike's is still in 7th, it's not going to be a big enough gap to put him back into a championship hunt. But man, does this erupt a chance of trying to steal a couple of more late points with these final races left. 5 races still left in the docket, 4 laps to go here tonight.
What a job he's done so far with the calls he's made. But you look in the background, Don Francesco getting around the lap traffic in the background. The 24 just trying to make his way to the end of this race also and get a great finish that he is acclaimed here already tonight. But also a huge shout to the driver here running top 3, and it looks like should be able to hang on for this, Sam. With only 3 laps to go, he's got about a 5-second gap. Paul Olson right now in that 23 machine in the 3rd spot after that damage early in the race. This has got to be a great feeling for him.
Yeah, getting that heavy front end damage earlier on really looked like he was going to be off pace and not even a chance to run up front with a chance for a third place position. What a great job for the driver who's only ran a handful of races here tonight. But this has certainly been a wild one. Paul Boomershine, 2 laps to go for the 92 machine. And it has been a season of what ifs. Had a chance to win at Chicagoland. And now watching some of the competition go back and forth. And Zach, the longest lap you could ask for. The second to last lap. You're hoping for the white flag quick.
Oh, for sure, Sam. You're always looking to get the white flag because then, you know, I just got to get back around to this flag stand. That is pretty much the guarantee, so to say, here in iRacing as you see it there from Paul Boomershine.
White flag in hand. That means this race is official. One more lap to go for Paul Boomershine. And all of the question marks of was the championship just down to 3 drivers? Well, throw in the hat for 2 more. Paul Boomershine, Nicholas DeFrancesco, 1, 2. Their other competition are way behind, but the 92 say the checkered flag. Welcome to the win column. Paul Boomershine wins at Kansas.
What a job from Paul, man. That is awesome to see. Called the perfect strategy tonight, stayed out of the mess, and he's going to be your winner here at Kansas and put himself possibly back into the championship fight. It is all on the table now.
And of course, Nicholas DeFrancesco coming away second. Incredible run for himself after all of the mishaps he had being involved with the top 4. Big wreck that really shifted the dynamic of this race. Paul Olsen involved with the early flap, the first caution on lap 3, able to recover back for a third place run. So many woes, so many madness moments, and it's a first time winner of the season. Paul Boomershine, enjoy this one. I mean, all of this season, Zach, I threw it out there at the top of the broadcast. For Paul Boomershine, for him to get back in this fight, he needed his competition to have a weak night. I think he needed a little bit more from Austin Mice to fall off and maybe finish outside of the top 15 to get a little bit closer into this run. But man, the closing gap for second and third in points are now wide open for this 92 team.
Oh, look at the celebration, just throwing it in the grass. I love it. That's a classic one right there, just sliding right on through backwards. And he's got to be so excited, man, with pulling this victory off here tonight. And, you know, like you said, Austin Mice still 7th place. That's a great, you know, salvage for him tonight after the damage he collected in that incident that took out our leader, Colin Clary. But I got to give, you know, the thing that Boomershine can take with this is he gained on every other driver that was ahead of him. You know, it's, you know, he did gain on Mice, but maybe not as much as you would hope. But hey, there's plenty of races still to gain those spots, and this 92 here could use this momentum.
Stick it in the wall, stick it into victory lane. Paul Boomershine, you are a winner for race number 11 of the season. Enjoy this one, and for us, we will step away. When we come back, we're going to talk to our top 3, Paul Boomershine, Nicholas DeFrancesco, and Paul Lolson, as well as get you prepared for next week at Texas. A lot of action, and we still got plenty to talk about. We'll be back right after this for the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the Lone Star NASCAR iRacing Series. Race 11 is in the books, and we can add a new winner to the win column in the history of the Lone Star Series. Let's head down to Victory Lane to go talk to the 92 team of Paul Boomershine. Paul, I think back to Chicagoland when we talked to you then. You said top threes, podiums, they're not your usual spot. Well, you're back here once again, and it's for a win at Kansas. How are you feeling getting your first win this season?
It feels good. It feels great. It's kind of it's nice. I don't get a lot of wins, so it's great. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's an awesome one for sure, Paul, man. Congrats on the win here tonight. Definitely a wild race to say the least, but take us through your decisions here tonight because, man, first off, you stayed out of the trouble, but also the great strategy call to save the set of tires. It really came back to help you, I think.
Yeah, just avoiding the accidents was key kind of right there, and I don't know what all happened with the leaders. They got wrecked out, and I'll have to watch the replay on that, but yeah, I wanted to pit right around lap 100. And we got that caution, I think, right around 70 something, 80 something. And I just wanted, I felt that was too early to take those tires. And so I was just waiting for a caution and bam, got it. So it's nice when it works out.
It certainly is nice when it works out. I mean, Paul, looking at some of your competition, I even said it before this race, for you to get back into the championship fight, kind of need your competition to have a fall off evening. 2 of the 3 did. This kind of puts you in the fight for second and third in points now. How does that make you feel knowing we got 5 more races left in the season?
Hey, anything can happen, right? There's a shot.
Well, Paul, congratulations again on this victory. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to my mom, Happy Mother's Day, and my grandmother, Happy Mother's Day. So, yeah.
Well, that will be the 92 machine of Paul Boomershine. Congratulations on your win here at Kansas, and good luck next week at Texas.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
As we head from Victory Lane, we go down to second place to talk to a driver who will get second for the second time this season. We've got Nicholas DeFrancesco with us. Nicholas, second once again this season. You got your first one at Dover, now here at Kansas. How are you feeling, though, after the roller coaster of an evening you had yourself?
I'm just glad to bring the car home in one piece after narrowly avoiding the wreck that took out most of the leaders. But yeah, I can't say enough because I don't know what else I could have done differently to potentially win the race. But we'll take P2 any day of the week and use that momentum for next week and try to go win that one.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to go first off, Nicholas. So congrats on tying your season best finish there, the second here tonight. You've had a lot of speed at these intermediate tracks. Of course, here again tonight at Kansas. We head to Texas next week. How do you feel about carrying that momentum over there?
Oh, Texas. Not looking forward to that track, but we'll do what we can there. Hopefully we can bring the same speed and hopefully bring home the W.
Well, Nicholas, with a run that you had here tonight close to Paul, you guys were in a position where you kind of needed the competition ahead of you to kind of fall away and have a rough run due to the fact of us seeing, the issues with Blaze as well with Colin. It kind of gives you a chance to battle for second and third in points. Where does that change your mindset with these final 5 races?
I didn't realize I was that close to up there with the leaders, but we just got to finish better. This season we've been up and down. One race I finished well, and I go on a streak of finishing outside the top 10. So we just got to put some of these races together and try to go get it.
Well, Nicholas, congratulations on second here tonight. Another podium finish for yourself. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Well, shout out to you guys for allowing us to give you guys something to watch and broadcast, and all our admins and all our whatever you want to call them that put this together for everybody, the race. And since yesterday was Mother's Day, can I wish my mother a happy Mother's Day? And that's pretty much it.
Well, Nicholas, congratulations again for second. Congratulations on that run, and good luck next week at the full-length Texas race.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, as we move from second place, we go down into third. Talk to the first Paul. Let's talk to the second Paul, and that's Paul Olson coming away third. His best finish of the season so far. Paul, I would imagine with the way that this race started, getting that front end nose damage to then finishing third here tonight and getting the bonus point of the most positions gained from your qualifying position, I'd imagine that wasn't on your mind after you got that early damage.
You know what? As hard as I hit that car, I had no damage. I couldn't believe it either. I was really expecting to have a minute or two damage, but yeah, zero damage. Yeah, it was a good run. A lot of people had problems, all kinds of problems tonight. Connectivity issues and people losing force feedback, and obviously a lot of big wrecks on the track. So.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot going on there, Paul. Congrats, man, on the top three there. And that's wild to hear. Definitely awesome, too, to hear that you got no damage there for yourself on that contact. But, the strategy was even a tough time to, stay on top of that tonight with the tire sets, with all the cautions. How did you end up deciding when to use your sets and when to save them?
Well, the caution came out, I think we had about 190 laps left on the last run, so I just split it in half. I'm going to pit on lap 135, and then I don't remember the guy's name, but he stayed out long, and I'm like, he doesn't have enough gas to finish, so he's gotta run out. But yeah, it was crazy at the end there, and I really thought the two guys in front of me were going to use their stuff up and fall back to me, but they didn't. They ran good.
Well, still a fantastic finish for yourself, Paul. I know you were part of a cluster of drivers that had your first debut race at Watkins Glen this season. And I know it's later off in the season, only 5 races left, but what's your ultimate goals that you're trying to reach for yourself in these final races before the season's over?
Just stay out of the point leaders' ways. I don't want to be the cause of any incidents. Keep it clean. And just learn the drivers and have fun. I'm really enjoying the league so far. It's pretty clean, and that's what I was looking for.
Well, Paul, congratulations again on a top 3 finish. And before we let you go, the floor is yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to shout out G&G Racing. My teammate Greg got a top 3 Pocono last week, so we're doing good. We're hitting the marks, and I think he had something for these guys tonight if he not have gotten that wreck. He was pretty quick. He was pretty sporty. But I'd like to thank you guys for hosting and commentating. You're doing a good job.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for giving us a show to call. Paul, congratulations on third here tonight. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at the full-length Texas race we have.
All right, thanks.
Well, that'll be your third place finisher of Paul Olson, coming away with his best finish as well as the bonus point of the most positions gained. Not a bad day for the 23 machine. And also, Zach, I mean, I think we saw it a lot here tonight. Some of those wrecks, guys were getting real lucky with netcode contacts and getting away with not as much damage as maybe they probably should have been collecting.
That's for sure, yeah. Some of the guys, it was surprising for a few, and then also tough for others. I mean, it was catastrophic damage for the 7. The 97 somehow salvaged his night with a lot of damage that he just couldn't get ever fully fixed, and he held on to 7th. But man, it was a night of just weird things, like Paul said. I mean, it was all different types of things going on.
It certainly was a lot. Here's going to be your unofficial results with Paul Boomershine grabbing his first win of the season. Congratulations, that 92 once again. A lot of career days for a lot of guys out there. Also want to say congratulations to Nicholas DeFrancesco with getting another second place finish. Paul Olson getting third, as well as seeing Jacob D. Booth fourth. Fifth goes to Austin Gruwell with trying to stay out, but just didn't get the caution that was needed, but at least had enough, was able to top off on fuel for a top 5. Corbin Reich will take 6th. 7th goes to Austin Mice, who will continue to hold on to the points lead after this evening. The question now will turn to how big of a lead will he have. 8th is the 3 machine of Chris Lanis. Also going to be the 9, finishing 9th of Alex Duchesne, which at one moment I thought he was going to wreck out and be out of this thing. Duchesne salvages a 9th place finish. Harold Crow, who's caught up in a lot of wrecks here tonight, he'll come away with 10th. And Zach, I mean, that's kind of the storyline for a lot of drivers throughout the rest of this finishing results, is how did they come away with this finish when they were caught up in so many wrecks?
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, there's definitely a lot of guys through this list that it was wild nights, but I think some of the ones that stand out farther back as we look through got to be that 16th place finish for Greg Wachinski, involved in that incident with the 7s with the lap cars, and that was tough for him. Just took his speed away out here early in the race. Colin Clary back there, of course, in 21st, and also Drew Blaze disconnecting early with the connection issues back in 22nd. So it was tough to see for some of our points leaders, but man, it has shook things up and has added some storylines, of spicy storylines too at that, to round out our season here.
Couple of drivers rallying up, getting a little irritated, but they certainly are giving us a show here late. 5 races left, 2 full-length races still on the docket. And next week, it's going to be one of those 2 full-length Texas race. It's going to be a long one for us of the booth and a long one for the drivers out on track. You don't want to miss out on it. But for tonight, thanks for joining with us. We do have more racing, though, this week. It's the preseason races. 3 preseason races for the 802 Next Gen Elite Series on Thursday night. We will be live here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting at 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't want to miss out on that. We will be having that scheduled up here shortly, so you can check out the link of seeing those 802 drivers out on track. There's a lot of people that we've seen in a lot of different leagues. I think, Zach, that's going to be a fun one to watch, because we do know a couple of drivers in this 802 league.
Definitely so. It's going to be fun to watch. Some next gen racing too, so a little bit of change up from tonight with the Gen 6, and it's going to be really, really fun. Of course, Dover and down the Monster Mile could be, man, it's going to be wide open there.
It's going to be Dover, Charlotte, Nashville Super Speedway, the pre-races that they will have on Thursdays before the official season starts June 4th. But this Thursday, first preseason race, we will be live here Thursday night again at 8 p.m. Eastern. But for this evening's race at Kansas, congratulations to Paul Boomershine. Zach, I'm going to give the floor to you. Any final thoughts on tonight's race as we get ready for a full-length Texas run next week?
Yeah, definitely shout out to Paul Boomershine. Always great to see a first-time winner and a guy like him who's been so consistent all season long. So congrats to him. Also, shout out to anybody who's tuned in there tonight. It's been a pleasure to call the action, and can't wait to get to Texas next week, where we can get the action continued on before we have an off week and get ready for the final run to the end of the season.
Who will find themselves hoisting the championship of the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series? We'll find out. 5 races are left on the docket, but tonight it's Paul Boomershine that takes the win. Thank you so much also to those that were watching with us here tonight live and those that rewatch this later on. Tonight, I want to say thank you for just joining with us. It's been your Monday evening here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me was Zach Hall and Robert Moyer, Junior Rain Productions in the background. It's been a pleasure to give you the racing calls here from the Lonestar NASCAR iRacing Series. Race 11's done. Paul Boomershine in the win column. Who will step up, though? Is it still Austin Mice in complete control, or can someone else try to steal the show? We'll have to find out next week. Who's got the mental to hold on, the physical to continue, as the full-length Texas race is next week here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting Monday night. But if you can't wait until then, it's been a while since I've said this, we've got more racing action this week. We will see you Thursday night for 802 Elite Next Gen Series Racing. It's the first race of the preseason. We'll see you at Dover Thursday night. Have a good one, y'all.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. 'cause all the pressure in my chest. I've gotta fight to catch my breath when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. It's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here?